Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, get my tongue around it. If you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Stopping Traffic in My Rasta Hat, Anthony Riley, Make 4, Event Horizon, Earth Flattener, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Guten Tag.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Where did Tommy go?
I kicked him.
Why did you kick him?
Because I was like literally getting anxiety attacks from his rambling. It's even worse than Rumpus. Sorry, I just...
Well, to be fair to Arwin, I did ask Nathan to help adjudicate the issue. He wasn't answering a question that he criticised me for, quote, pushing my religion or preaching my religion. And when I responded to it with evidence to show why I wasn't preaching, I was simply showing the evidence of what is, in my opinion, can only be interpreted as creation. I asked him what would be the alternative explanation, and he didn't answer it. And I wanted Nathan to adjudicate because I didn't feel he was answering the question. But unfortunately, Nathan, you were making a brew at the time, and Arwin lost his temper and kicked him. So I don't really blame him, to be honest, because he wasn't answering the question. But also, Nathan, you weren't there to fix it. So
I didn't get a chance to adjudicate, so he rumpus the hang out before I had a chance. So
he was displaying the characteristics of somebody that was taking a triple pack of methamphetamine, steroids, and Xanax.
He was like hyperactive.
Yeah, exactly. But also manic, like the Xanax.
After he'd rambled through his complaints, he would answer with something that wasn't an answer, like every single freaking time. It's just
It's hard because it was based on a criticism of me that I was, quote, pushing my religion, and I'm not going to accept that because I don't consider myself in any way at all religious. I'm not religious. I was brought up with a Christian upbringing, but I don't practice Christianity. I don't necessarily agree with it. I understand it and I see it, but that doesn't mean that I preach any religion. I don't have a religious view. I'm more empirical than religious. I agree with evidence that supports a position, not beliefs that support a position. Why I can't be religious. But when I was challenged on my preaching, that after I've challenged the challenge, that he then ignores me. And Aaron was probably right to kick him, in my opinion.
Thank you. Well, I would love to get into the discussion with you, because I did actually attempt to answer.
Yeah, that's fine. But just, again, Arwin, when it's somebody else that the question's aimed at, don't answer for them. Let them answer it, because that's their... I know that you can answer it, but he's the one that's dealing the criticisms my way, and I gave evidence to support my position, and he simply... Well, right. I'm not quite sure how to describe what he did other than rumpus in the hangout.
Evidence of methamphetamine.
Just know that doing that... forcing me to be silent while you ask an idiot a very interesting, good question that I know the answer to. That's like dangling a slab of meat in front of a dog that's been hungry for 3 days.
Fair enough, Owen. Go on, Event. I know you've been trying to say something for a while.
I've had a relationship with Tommy before he started coming on debate and a little bit in between, so I understand why he gets a little bit triggered. And I noticed it the other day when you guys have started talking about evolution and this, that, and the other. and he's got this idea, and I don't like speaking for people. I apologise to Anthony for starting to ask his question. To answering Tommy's question to begin with. But he has this idea of biased views that we are all religious. We therefore want to see the only evidence that we want to see to assert our religious faith on other people. And it's the biggest elephant in the room that, as far as I can see, everybody's been kind of missing, and it's God. And God is the biggest straw man that we've got on this flat earth or anywhere. And as soon as you mention God, people go straight to biblical God, Adam and Eve, Jesus, and have all these stereotypical ideas that you blame religion for everything. So everybody has ideas of what religion is. And I was trying to explain this to Tommy the other day in a private chat, that that's already been set up for him, that idea of what God is. Just because we now see that the earth is flat does not mean that we all believe in this biblical God, this straw man of a God. It's not that. I don't know what God is. I don't know how he created anything. So to circle the argument back to evolution and flat earth, he's coming from he thinks we're all biased and ignoring things that he sees as obvious, like pointing to his wisdom teeth, without understanding what Nathan's pretty much his last question to him was in the other debate. Do you know what the scientific method is? And he hasn't. He doesn't address things like everybody's found out. He'll just talk and want to answer you how he wants to. I just hope you guys just give him time, and I hope he comes back.
You know what I think one of the problems is that I think just the word creation itself has taken on this very big religious connotation, and it's like the actual word itself. I mean, if you look it up, it just means the action or process of bringing something into existence. Does it necessarily have to mean we're talking about God? It doesn't mean it doesn't have to be religious.
Yes, indeed. It's very specific. And it's in contrast to reproduction, which is creating something from something that was already there. That's pretty much a replication.
Yeah, but you see, like you just said, reproduction.
Creation is from loose parts or from nothing, creating a creation out of nothing. That's the significant expression.
Yeah, but for something has to be created, right? Something has to be created. It can't just come out of nowhere.
No, exactly. It's information. Yeah, it's information. Information has to have come from somewhere. It has to be understood. It has to have a sender, and it has to have a receiver to go and complete the instructions.
Creation, assembly.
That's the bit that we need.
But I mean, I think it comes down to semantics, because, like Riley was saying, he believes that one cell dividing into another cell, that's a form of creation. And when you think about it, it is, because there was one cell and now there's two. So one of those cells had to be created. You could call it reproduction or division or mitosis. You could use all these words, but at the end of the day, it's creation. Something was created from something else, something that did not exist before.
Well, with cells, it's very interesting, because basically the parts of the cell, all the micro organs within each cell, are split up. They all replicate individually, and then they migrate. And then they divide the whole thing. So it's literally like a settlement being built, a bunch of settlers going out and just forming a new cell.
So
the Bible started with we all live on a supersonic space
on
testicle, no one would have believed it.
Every detail is replicated.
But either way, though, I think we can all agree that one ended up being two. However it happened, it ended up being two. Now that, by any accounts, involves something being made. But if it's not something being made and therefore a form of creation, what is the alternative explanation for what we're seeing? Because I'm not having it that I'm being religious by pushing that. That's the evidence. We see it, and I can't see any other interpretation for it.
Well, it depends on what you see as the whole. Individual parts concerning life, yeah, they replicate. They create something where there was nothing. That's part of life.
Yeah, but it's also part of creation, because if there wasn't the creation element to it, the cell would just die. Right?
But the
So
cell
to that
does
account, people
just
don't
die.
think that having a baby is
Hold
a
on,
form of creation.
Hold on. The cell does just die.
But
all cells in your body die
right,
and
but
are
where does the
replaced.
created cell come from?
What?
Where does the created cell that replaces the cell that's just died, where does that created cell come from if it's not
Right
created?
next to it. It's
Right.
reproduced
But it's created though, right?
by another
From
cell.
nothing.
Yes?
Right. So if that that process is not, if I'm accused of saying that that's my religious view, then therefore it requires an alternative explanation for what we see. And we see the cell being created from nothing. So what is the alternative interpretation for what we're seeing?
It's a part of life. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you say, okay, life is proof of creation, then in a technical sense, yeah, you can be right. All of the processes that concern life, yeah, it is. Creation is inherent in the definition of life.
And that's the reason why Tommy's wrong to criticize or attack me for, quote, pushing my religious views. It's not based on religion. It's not based on belief. It's based on what we can document with evidence that basically needs an alternative explanation if it's not right.
But there's a different
Tommy has this idea
interpretation
that
as
we're
to
all
the...
biased. That's the thing. Tommy thinks we're all biased because we're of the flat Earth, and he associates the straw man of God with us.
Yeah.
There's
The thing is, just because the religious book happens to say flat Earth or indications of that, well, I mean, they had to put things that were, or at least seeming to be extremely obvious to, you know, all possible readers of the book right there in the beginning. Because if they would have went and put something like supersonic, you know, helio space testicle or something, people probably wouldn't have given the rest of the book much of a read. You know what I'm saying? So they had to put some things that were obvious and observable right, quote unquote, in the beginning, as it says. But you know, because if you went and put all that other fantasist crap in there right at the beginning, well, then nobody's going to accept the other fantasist crap later in the book.
That's true. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I like getting things down to the bottom point, and you shouldn't trust anything that anybody says, especially when it comes to things of a spiritual nature. If we live in a created environment, when we're looking to find evidence how we got here, yeah.
I have a crappy video to show people.
I wanted to echo. I wanted to refer back again, if I can, to the creation, because there's also a little misinterpretation here. There's like the process of creating, and there is creation in the biblical sense, as in the start of it all. And they have different connotations. How do you call that? Different emphasis, basically. So yeah, if somebody's going to take the biblical approach, then that's automatically going to bring all that baggage in their viewing of. So it's all getting jumbled. Because I think that, yeah, we are talking about literal creation, and Tommy was basically thinking about biblical creation.
Exactly, and that's the straw man.
He was straw manning all over the place.
Straw men, yeah, exactly. And that's what he's slaying at the moment. He's slaying straw men now. And when he comes to talk to us, when he spoke to me, he speaks a little bit like that with me. So I kind of let him go with it. But he has this. He thinks we're all biased. He thinks Anthony's biased. He thinks Nathan's biased. And he doesn't, like I said, still doesn't understand what scientific is. I've posted it to him, I've given it to him, I said, this is why. I've tried to give him pointers in the right direction, but at the moment he's just slaying straw man. I hope he comes back in though.
No, he's not going to come back in. I sniped him.
Yeah, Maybe next time, Tommy. Give me a shout if you're listening.
You drove me nuts. So
I have a real simple.
I had to go from him. I had to put the phone down him once. I really did. But yeah, he's a good lad. He's a good lad. He does ask good questions when he finally gets down to a point. And you get time to have a conversation with him.
The thing is, they're not good questions. They're really not good questions at all. And just because he states them with confidence or with some sort of self-espoused, tone of authority, doesn't make them good questions. They are literally just as dumb as they sound. And just because you want to try to be respectful to the guy, doesn't mean that there's not a limit on the credence of validity to the questions that he's asking. At some point, you just have to call a spade and acknowledge that what he's saying and what he's asking are both equally ridiculous and dumb.
Yeah, he is arguing from ignorance a lot of the time. That I've noticed that before. It's with me. I found just with him in general, just let him go down his path and point a few things out to him, and hope he can come back. But he does like his circular arguments. But I don't want to speak about him whilst he's not here. But he's arguing what he was talking about and the subjects that he brought up about evolution and creation and so on. Not necessarily flat Earth, but I don't want to speak for him.
peace and quiet.
Want to say my crappy rocket video?
Hey, regardless of whether you believe in creation or evolution, they're both just fantasy. You guys will never know. We'll never know, and that's the end of it.
I don't know.
Shout out to the banana.
I don't know either.
But you never know if we may find out.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the depth of what we can reach, but we can't even visualize yet. So
yeah, just like Sleeping Warrior was saying earlier about things being created in bacteria, it's created in this system that we have, in this ecosystem. Everything is already balanced, and everything is created from everything else. But if you go way back to the beginning, you don't know what created the beginning. And I think that's the point.
Right.
You there, Travis?
That would be the point of not screaming at each other.
You there, Travis?
Yeah, but I'm on my Bluetooth, so I don't know how clear I'm going to be. What's up?
Well, I just wanted you to correct my terrible pronunciation of this word if I get it wrong. So it's the two ontological principles. Either
perfect,
everything was created, or everything came from nothing. Those are your only two choices. It's not a false dichotomy. They are the ontological principles. Either everything was created, or everything came from nothing. Those are your two options.
Yep.
Those are our two options today with the information that we have, but it doesn't make it the only options. It's just all we know. That's as far as we know.
They are the only choices, and anything you come up with will fit into one of those two categories. Try me.
I disagree.
Well, try me. Come up with
there
something.
You go, Arwen. Try him, Arwen. You have a better
mind.
Try me. Depending on how long this supposed beginning could have been, we technically do not even know if there was a beginning. Could have always been there. Just
Arwen, you were the one that told me
long periods.
I love it.
Infinite was impossible.
Yeah.
You told me that. You said infinite was impossible when I was telling you that I didn't have any evidence of any end to the plane.
Yeah, I know, and I also corrected that, remember?
No, but if you did, then fantastic. Perfect.
So I highly recommend going and having a listen to the Science versus Scientism called Creator versus Atheism. Check it out. This is covered in a lot of detail.
But what Arwen said also is that what he does know is that he knows very little, and that goes for us all.
Indeed.
And I don't take take any laws, scientific or whatever, just for granted. No. If we're gonna get scientism out of the way, we should also look at the foundations and just see what is that, where does that actually come from, and all these laws that you guys keep on bringing up, even though I know about some of it and do agree from my own experience and insight, it to automatically assume that it is correct, even like the law of conservation of energy. Like, really?
It's all a
It's very
concept.
logical, but do we definitively know into the future with absolute certainty that that is correct? You know what I'm saying? And it goes in all directions.
It's all
All of these
conceptualization.
elements.
I said it's all conceptualization. It's all conceptual. All those things, all that you were just like going through, those are like, the law of this and the law of that. That the whole idea of that is a concept of man. It's just all
It's a
pseudo
management.
out the ass crap ways of managing, just as you said, the day-to-day issues of things. But just because it said, oh, this is the law of this or that's the law of that. Well, that was just something said by some guy sometimes. So essentially, I'm still holding two fingers in the air at all of it.
Yeah, that's another way of saying it, but yeah, that's what I'm doing also. So I'm always saying, okay, what is this law? What does it actually say? Are there things about it that I disagree with? And then look at it like, why is that there? Is it really that important? Or is this just some kind of old set of rules based upon the mind of the time?
Like a speed limit.
Rules of conduct, basically, of that time. Because, yeah, culture, debate culture, systemization, that changes depending on the culture over the ages. So
Right,
it's just with biblical things. It's
sorry
written in a very specific period with a specific culture and mindset. Thus, certain extreme elements are abundant. While in this age, that's just like, wow, that's barbaric and creepy, harsh, that kind of stuff. Because it's all changed. So
we've got Make 4 on the panel who's tried to interject a couple of times. Maybe if I start off a bit of housekeeping, I know we're quite far into the show. Nevertheless, any signs of curvature? Hint, hint.
Nope.
No.
No.
In this picture, there's a bit, but it bends.
Oh, really? Got my hopes up.
No.
You're on screen if you want to present whatever you were hoping to present. So this looks like on a rocket launching to space, according to the title. GoPro Awards.
Ooh.
GoPro Awards?
Yeah.
That's a bad start.
GoPro.
Okay.
It's apparently 250,000 feet up.
Okay.
And it sort of almost gets the whole globe here, but there's this big land mass that just covers the whole globe, which is a bit confusing.
Right.
So I just
that tells you it's nowhere near as high as they claim, and it's basically a complete and utter rendering at best.
Yeah.
The whole side of the Earth.
I don't doubt this is
land.
real imagery.
Wow.
It's just fisheye.
No,
Give me a freaking break.
100% CGI. This is amazing.
I don't think it's
Oh
CGI.
my god.
Why
Look
would
at
you
the
say
real
rope.
that?
You
good
can tell the
effort.
rope is synthetic. Look at that rope. Like, you can literally tell that it's synthetic just by looking at the rope. There's no textural reality to it
There you go.
whatsoever.
The bend is unbending as it gets level.
They got the curvature right, though, consistent.
Yeah, it bends. The curvature bends, but it's mostly the landmass, man. Like, the Earth doesn't look anything like this, and it's almost getting a whole shot of the globe, really.
It's a fisheye lens.
This is
complete,
just stupid.
And it's
and they
one
just-
massive landmass without any type of detail.
But they took
Yeah,
a
That
complete picture,
entire
fisheye
side
lens
of
picture
the
of
planet.
the Earth below them, and then now they are like doing this animation. They're basically moving that picture around, like there's a camera moving, and then they animated that rope or something.
No.
It's very
Why would you
easy to
say-
trick
I don't
that.
think this is CGI. This is just
Yeah.
fisheye photography. I don't.
I just wanted to show it, and I can't believe people still believe in this stuff.
The thing is, I don't understand why people don't question the lack of detail. Like, when you're looking down right there at the ball, I mean, there's like 90+% of detail that if you were literally just looking at something with your eye that would be there, that just isn't there.
Right.
Again, sorry to be argumentative, but even at airline cruising altitude, you don't get any detail. It looks a bit like this, a bit more detailed because you're a bit lower down. But I don't know. I'm not going to auto hoax this and say that it's bloody CGI. It's just high altitude footage, right?
It's blank landmass that covers half the globe. I'm gonna say it's complete and utter bullocks.
It's literally
What is up with the rope here?
the biggest desert on the planet.
Are
Yeah,
you
the rope's not
serious?
moving here.
Look at that! Wow.
Well, for a start,
That's
we got,
like
here we go. So we
This
go
is
to
an
concave. So
embarrassing.
this is
I
the,
mean,
hold on.
that's
seriously.
like
Pause.
90s
Hold on.
advanced
Oh.
tree tracing imagery.
Arwin, hold on. So if you can go back a couple of seconds.
That's amazing.
There we go, and just pause it when it's there. Perfect. Oh,
It
just
looks
missed
Sorry,
it.
sorry, where?
It looks,
Where it
you
goes
know it's
concave.
real, guys.
Oh,
because it
Win!
looks
I'm
so
trying
fake.
it. Bloody hellfire. If you can go back a few frames just so we can see where the fisheye goes the opposite way around, which to me, if you were CGIing this...
I know what you mean. I don't think it really does. Oh,
Keep
sort of curving there a bit.
No, keep going, keep going. I'll tell you when. Get ready. There. Perfect. So there we go. So now we've got a completely opposite curve. Now if you were CGI rendering this, would you engineer in that? No. Now I'm not saying that this thing here might be put in after the fact. It might very well be. When I saw that as I was saying it, I was like, oh god, here we go. Because that looks a bit dodge, I won't lie. But the rest of this, I just think it's like the ISS stuff. I just think it's high altitude footage. And there's no reason for me to suspect
That's
that
giving
they're
it too
faked
much
all
credit,
this.
Nathan. I mean, honestly, I play cards. I know a bluff and I know bullshit, and this is poor bullshit and it's poor bluff. It's not good, and you're giving it too much credit.
But why would you engineer in a concave curve? If you were
Because
faking it.
their programs are actually really, really simplistic, and they're just not putting any money into it. I mean, you're looking at a basic screensaver level like image right there. It's, I mean, that's 50 cents worth of software. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, it's complete crap.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to auto hoax it. I'll take on board what you're saying.
Shout out to Monk Patrol and all the ballers that believe this crap.
Shout out for tracking.
First time I'm ever going to do this, I agree with Mong Patrol. He says, I've never seen so many CGI experts. Well, I agree.
Yep.
No, I just know that anything that doesn't look like reality, I can easily call bullshit. And it doesn't look anything like reality. And there's no evidence to indicate that it is reality. So therefore, not reality.
Hey,
bullshit.
Alex.
Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Adam. Good to have you.
Hi, guys. You're right, Owen.
Hey.
What's up, Adam?
Hey, we've all been conditioned to technology and CGI from the day we were born, from the days of Pong. We've been watching our screens and watching it advance. And we get video cards and things and look at all the little jagged edges, all the pixels and the tearing and the anti-aliasing and all this stuff. So yes, we are all professionals at CGI for sure.
I agree with that.
This isn't even as good as Tomb Raider, like first gen Tomb Raider.
No, it's a little better.
I think even more problem than the CGI is that it just doesn't look like the Earth we've all been shown.
But it's
many
not.
times.
It's not current day CGI. This is CGI of like 10, 15 years ago.
Look at that
Like I
little
said, first
stall.
generation Tomb Raider.
When the camera starts moving here and then it stops right there, it's going all crazy and then it just goes.
And all that land.
That's
I
a
don't see any
vacuum of
ocean.
space. Come on.
Where
Yeah,
are the
the
oceans?
land is the biggest
Where
thing
are the
for me.
oceans?
Yeah, there's
Where
no
are
oceans.
the
There's a
oceans?
lake. There's a lake there.
There's a little piece on the side, a little bit on the top. I mean, come on, man. When have you
Oh my
ever
God,
seen the Earth with
guys.
an entire landmass on the
It's
side?
Pontchartrain
Oceans
down there.
are
It's
fake.
Lake Pontchartrain.
Guys,
Oh, yeah,
oceans
yeah.
are fake.
Oh
Know
shit,
it now.
CGI.
Oceans are fake, guys. See?
Yeah, according to this, oceans are not basically a large percentage of the ball. Look at all that
What's
land.
going
That's
on-
just land
what's
and
going
land
on
and
with the
land and
rope?
land. I mean, the
What's going
fact
on
that
with
it
the
has
ropes?
no actual texture like to it whatsoever that shows reality. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, where's that mountain range that spans across half the Earth? Like, what is that? Kidding me?
Where the hell is all the ocean?
Look at this rocket. Like, oh my god.
Is this supposed to be Kazakhstan or something? That's the
I'm
center
not sure where
of the
it
big
is.
landmass.
Didn't you guys see the footage that like what was it, Japan that just landed some type of probe on an asteroid?
Oh yeah, that.
Did
Yeah, I
you
posted
see
that.
that?
Yeah,
Hey, Alan.
I didn't even think that was supposed to be real.
Hello, Alan.
Yeah,
was-
yeah. It's
Hi
supposed to
guys,
be
how's
real.
it going?
Very well.
Hey, Alan.
I hear the ice cream truck.
You having a good show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just been catching up on the FE core legal things. Interesting.
Oh yeah, is it interesting?
So what's the update then?
I don't know. Are you their lawyer, Tony?
I'm not even sure what
Are you?
the argument is. Are you referring to the Flat Earth Reset one?
No, the one with Mr. Shawn Hufford.
I'm not aware they said anything. When you say you've caught up with, what have you caught up with?
Did you not watch his last Google Hangout?
No.
And I saw a video of a Shauna Hufford that had a problem with FE core, but not a Shawn Hufford, only a Shauna Hufford.
Don't think so.
So what's the update? What's the conclusion of his hangout?
Oh, you'd have to watch it. It's
Oh,
quite cool.
Alan, stop being such a tease. Come on. Fill us in.
Hi,
In a
Adam.
sentence.
In one sentence,
Yeah, what's the gist of it?
That's it.
he thinks it's all a scam.
Who Sean
What,
thinks
what?
it's all a scam? You mean FE core generally, or do you mean the legal fight?
What's the legal fight over? Is that your audio thing?
Well, no, it's moved on from the original audio arguments, like kind of been forgotten about. We've not forgotten about it in Flat Earth because it's proof that these baltards are getting fed.
Oh,
But
sorry,
the
Anthony.
argument's
Sorry,
now morphed
Anthony.
into a.
Remind me to come back to that. There's a point I want to raise about that before the show finishes. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
It's about corporate legal slander.
It's morphed in, yeah, it's morphed into like fighting about dishonesty and lies and stuff that's like not really Flat Earth related. So it's kind of like morphed. What's he referring to when he says that he thinks it's all a scam? Does he mean FE core generally, or does he think the scam is the argument about the law, the legal stuff?
That they've not submitted papers on time, things like that. You know, for being a.
Trust me, the authorities are in control of things that are not done properly. I think that if there was a mistake somewhere, it would have already been caught by now, and I don't think Sean's abilities at research would be strong enough or good enough to.
Well, there's not much you can research
do
if
the
you've
job
not
for them.
submitted anything. Can't research anything, really, can you?
And I don't think it's due. I think it's in the middle of being applied for. I don't think it's due, and therefore can't be late. But I'm not sure of the arguments for or
Yes,
against it.
that's what I was wondering.
All I know is that I know he's still upset. Oh,
Load of nonsense, mate. Any level of bureaucracy where if you've done a paperwork error and they can reclaim and make you pay another fee, they would do it if there was any incongruity in the filling in the forms, wouldn't they?
They always
They'd
do
have
it.
slapped another bill on you to get a little bit more processing fees out of you. So, and I would leave that up to the systems, not necessarily somebody the internet to review government process. It just seems a little strange that somebody's, as well as claiming to know the body of science, they now know the body of regulation.
They know everything, man.
So, are you going to get dragged into that, Tony?
I'm not even sure what the argument is. If it's to do with forms not being filled in, no. I mean, heck, why would I be dragged into it?
Just a question.
I'm not sure what the issue is. To be honest, I don't really pay attention to what Sean says. I pay more attention to what FE Core say. Shut up.
Is that your new catchphrase, Tony?
She's meowing because the other dogs have gone out for wee-wees and she's been left on her own because three dogs with one person's too much.
Dogs don't meow.
She's meowing. See? Did you hear that? Oh. Oh. Sounds like a cat.
It's whimpering.
It is. Well, it's crying. It's like separation anxiety. That's what it really is.
So, Adam, what's happening in the Iron Realm media?
Well, we've got a good show. You'll have to. It's another Nathan. We've got the Facebook Flat Earth Nathan on this Friday. So,
You what now?
hopefully interviewing him, seeing what it's like dealing with internet, with Facebook ballers, and going through his experiences, and kind of gathering a little bit of a feeling, because I don't do Facebook, Alan. I don't know about you, mate, but I've no idea what life on Facebook's like. So really just to kind of get an idea, because there's quite a large community over there that's separate to us YouTubers. So yeah, just hopefully catching up with him, seeing what's life's like on the Facebook side. And
depends what side of the Facebook side you're going. Sorry if you don't mind me interrupting. There's two sides to it. It's the community side, or it's the argumentative side. What side are you going into?
I think he's both. Oh, yeah, let me get the gent's surname, because the Nathan's stuck in my head, but I can't.
Is Event Horizon transmitting from the inside of a sock?
Sorry, am I not thinking too well?
Down a bit muffled, lad.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
No.
Just say. Can you just say for us? That's one small step for man.
That's one small step for man.
I didn't crackle. Damn it!
It didn't crackle.
One giant tax scam for mankind.
Didn't sound like you're in Australia to me there.
Oh, good.
Nathan Thompson is the gent's name, Alan.
Oh, it'll be interesting. I'll have a listen to that.
We've got a guy. The name rings a bell with me. He's coming up on 9/11.
No, Nathan Thompson is the guy.
November.
He's
Mark
the guy,
Devlin.
Is Mark Nathan Thompson's the guy that went up to the guy in a? He went up to an astronaut in a Starbucks. Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
So it's
quite. This is one of Josh's finds. So, like I say, I'm looking forward to getting informed and seeing what he's got to say on Friday.
Adam?
Yes, sir.
We're getting towards the end of the show. You don't have to run off anywhere, do you? Are you sticking around at the end?
Yeah, I'll hang about, mate. Yeah, I want to chat.
I just want to catch up with you. I've not spoken to you for ages, and I want to run something by you.
Cool. Oh, that would be good. If you will do me the favour, I'm doing a little presentation on. You lot's been going on about rim speeds and all this sort of stuff and centrifugal forces. So
yeah, we like a bit.
I was doing some calculations last night, because you know how the ballers say it's so small you wouldn't feel this force at the equator.
Sorry, Adam.
So I've been doing a bit of comparative work on that. So I wouldn't mind you on Nathan's opinions on my maths before I share it with the community.
Let Anthony get his rim jokes out.
Come on.
We all like a bit of rimming in flat Earth.
It depends how fast.
Yeah.
Shout out to Travis.
I thought you weren't supposed to be laughing at that, Nathan. You're more sure.
I couldn't help it. Just timing is everything, isn't it?
Nathan, you said to remind you about GeoStream and Whisper.
Ah, yes. So we were chatting with Patricia Steer last night, and she was keeping us abreast of various things that were going on in the Flat Earth community. One of which was Jeff Stewart, who, if you're a long-time Flat Earther, you'll know who he is. If you're a newbie, you may not. But anyway, a chap called named Jeff Stewart has been making videos or discussing in some form or another. I don't know myself. I'm not a Jeff Stewart fan, although I have interviewed him. But Jeff Stewart has been accusing Daniel Pratt, whose channel is, I think it's Dan Pratt Reshaping Our World, if you want to look him up, but accusing Dan Pratt of being an agent. Now, I've got Pete Shea in the chat at the moment, who's also accusing Anthony Riley and myself of being agents, but that aside, we've got people in this community who are accusing Dan Pratt of being an agent. Now, their reasoning behind accusing Dan Pratt of being an agent is because there is some suspicion that during his interview with Patricia Steer, he was wearing a Bluetooth earpiece. Now, the theory, or whatever you want to call it, goes that he was wearing this earpiece so that he could be fed by the, I don't know how the story goes, let's just make it up, the CIA handlers of Patricia, or CIA employers of Patricia and her squad. Hold on a second. I think my wife's at the door.
agency.
Bear with me.
The agency that they jokingly refer to. But I get it. But the agency was basically feeding Pete Shea, right? During the interview with Patricia Steer on what kind of questions to ask. Like, he's going to conform to anything, ever.
Something's happened in the background.
Sorry. Right, so we've got this comparison being drawn of an alleged agent member, which would be Dan Pratt, based on this earpiece he's wearing. Now, after hearing this, I was like, well, stop everything, right? Anthony was on the call as well, so hopefully Anthony will back some of this story up and add something to it. We will see. But I said, well, if these people are literally accusing Dan Pratt of being an agent based on the fact that they suspect he's being coached by the CIA in his headset, why aren't they paying attention to the fact that we have cast iron proof of this happening with the Geo Whisperer and Geo Streber? So you've got Soundly and Alex having contemporaneous conversations being picked up by a faulty microphone used by one of them, that would be Geo Streber, to coach him during a hangout. So it's not an interview, it's an actual, a heated discussion that could go any way. It's not a nice, calm interview with a friendly. This is a heated discussion where one of the people involved in the discussion is literally being coached by what I would consider to be the biggest liar in this arena, and that would be Soundly. So that's the situation that we've got proof of, a recording of it actually happening. So all these idiots out there, Jeff Stewart, you're one of them, that are accusing people of being agents because they suspect they're being coached through a Bluetooth headset. We've got actual evidence of our opponents, the Globeheads, the ones we all know are lying, doing exactly that on tape. So check that out if you like. There's been various hangouts made about the Geo Whisperer, Geo Streber, and Shawn Hufford. Now, the reason I asked or interrupted Anthony about this was because the reason FE Corps are now talking about court cases that are so distant from what I've just described, anybody listening earlier that was a newbie wouldn't have the slightest clue that court stuff that Alan brought up is directly linked to the fact that Geo Streber has been caught being coached by Soundly. So that's where all this distraction has come from. This nonsense court stuff is because originally Shawn Hufford has claimed that he's going to go and get forensic analysis done on this tape recording that we have of Geo Streber being coached by Soundly. So that was the reason I interrupted. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Anthony.
It's two different levels of accusation. One is being accusations about being coached by the CIA. The other one is a proof of being coached by one or two people on unemployment. So, yeah, I mean, there's a difference.
There is accusation against proof. On the one hand, we have an accusation that Dan Pratt is whatever. On the other hand, we have proof that Geo and Soundly were conversing, that's the word, conversing in the background. And it's like, well, the suspicion against Dan Pratt, whether it's true or false, is just a suspicion. On the other hand, we've got black and white evidence that they are cheating. Now, at the end of the day, we all know that they've been doing it for years, but we've never had proof. But now we do have proof. So if Dan Pratt's being called an agent, what does that make Geo Streber? A fool?
Still unemployed.
Yeah, a fool.
Still unemployed.
But it's a relevant point in the respect that people are often, including Pete Shea, who's in the chat right now, talking about people being agents, and it's all very James Bond with people having earwigs and all this sort of stuff, giving them information. Well, it's a very rare, it's like lightning strikes, it's a rare occurrence. You'll catch it, and in this instance that's exactly what's happened. It's been caught on tape purely because of a fault with the microphone, a known issue. If you Google the make and model of Geo Streber's headset microphone, the first result is that it's got a bleed issue. It lets sound through. So that's precisely what's happened. Now, by unfortunate coincidence, if you want to call it that, for Geo Streber, that has been highlighted. You know, we've caught it. It's been tape recorded, and there's not a great deal he can do. The cat's out of the bag now. We all know that's a fact. So forget about your suspicions about Dan Pratt. Who cares if he's wearing an earpiece? It doesn't prove anything. Proof is a recording of it happening. And we've got that. Geo Streber, who's gone suspiciously quiet while a sideshow circus freak has jumped up and down and said, "Look over here at my magic tricks." So we don't look at Geo Streber, the guy who's guilty of this. The guy is being coached by a massive fraud, soundly. So we know the score here. These guys have lied through their back teeth about it ever since. The guy who's coaching Geo Streber soundly has laughed his head off while saying the tape recording that we do have, a tape recording of this happening, the tape recording sounds like me, soundly, coaching Anthony. It's like, shame I haven't got it queued up to play, but, you know, it's not. It's you, soundly, coaching Geo Streber. That's what we've caught. We all damn well know it, and you're still lying about it while your mate jumps up and down over there somewhere trying to distract our attention from it. Well, I'm going to let you know right here, right now, we're never going to let this drop. You're never going to live this down. It's never going to go away. I will bring it up at every single opportunity I can, because there are people out there that think this is juicy. When it's Dan Pratt and a suspicion, it's enough to make videos and talk about and presumably shun Dan Pratt. I have no idea if that's true, but I would imagine, knowing on past experience with these types of people. Well, no.
Speaking of agent claimers, like, do we know how old Dan Pratt is? Because there does seem to be at least a correlation between a certain age demographic or generational bracket and those always shouting, "Agent, agent, they're an agent." It does seem to be people that are kind of age bracket associated with the baby boomer generation that seem to be most obsessed with everybody's a secret agent and whatnot. And so I don't see a lot of people under the age of 40 making those claims, but I do see that coming from people between 48 and 60 nonstop.
Right. I think that's a bit younger than baby boomer, but nonetheless, I see your point. My point being that, ultimately speaking, we've got cast iron evidence of the nonsense being described about Dan Pratt actually happening, but not with somebody who's on our side, somebody who's on the opposing side. And not only have we got evidence of it, they've gone to great lengths to cover it up and lie about it non-stop. So it doesn't seem to be ringing the alarm bells with the people on our side of the fence that it should. You know, you should all be waving a big stick at these guys, you know, and saying, we know you're cheats, we know you're liars. Because we do.
Yeah, I just want to echo those words, because the reality is that the Geo Streber scenario is proof that these guys are cheating, right? But if it was us that was doing it, they would be all over it like a rash, because it is cheating, right? All right, it's not the biggest of crimes, but nonetheless, it is cheating. And if it was me that was caught doing it, I'd never live it down. I mean, I got the wrong folk court, right? There just so happens to be a second folk court bloke in the same country, in the same city, and they described him as a philosopher. Now, I'm not being funny, and don't take this the wrong way, guys, because if you believe we live in a ball, you'll probably be offended. But there's not a lot of difference between a heliocentric physicist and a philosopher. So when this guy was described as a philosopher, I thought it was satirical, and I didn't realize it was a different bloke altogether. And I didn't even realize when I checked on Wikipedia, and it didn't mention that about Foucault's pendulum. I still didn't twig, and it was just because I made a mistake. But when I make a mistake, it's serious. But when these guys get caught making a mistake, our side isn't laughing at them. We need to laugh at them more, because if it was me, they would be all over it like the trolls in chat right now, laughing at me for Foucault's pendulum or whatever. And on our side, we've got proof that these guys are cheating, and we need to ram it down their heads and stamp all over their heads, because that's what they
you'd rather be wrong on your own than be right with somebody in your ear. I mean, that's just embarrassing. And comes with no victory and glory. I'd rather be wrong on my own than win even at best with a cheat.
Rasta, trust me, being wrong sucks. I'd rather be right with a group than wrong on my own.
Well, then that's almost like, you know, being a baller.
Well, it is, but it's better than being wrong.
No, but there's a you know, a certain amount of credibility that comes with acknowledging, you know, your own mistakes and correcting them, as opposed to just simply, you know, getting by at best on the other side.
I realised that I got the wrong forecourt in the right same blokes, different blokes, same town, same. I made that mistake and I corrected it immediately. Right, these guys are still pushing on to the lie. Yeah, I'm the one that's being called all the names under the sun, and these guys seem to be getting away with it. Sweeping it under the mat, that's what they're doing.
So yeah, you can see about from the trolls' lack of response to anything that's just been said. Lots of accusations hurled our way. Nobody mentions it. And that's because these guys are deeply embarrassed by this. The people who are supposed to be on the side of the standard rhetoric, supposed to be the truth, it's the standard rhetoric, it's what we're told continually, everybody accepts, we're on a sphere. Well, those people who fight that side of this argument are the ones being fed, are the ones being coached, are the ones lying through their back teeth in the aftermath to cover it up, are the ones now talking about court action and various other legal things that are nothing to do with the fact that they've been caught cheating. It's not a mistake. This is not comparable to Anthony making a mistake about Foucault. That's a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. That's not this. This is outright deception, deliberate deception. That's what this is. Very different. And they've been caught red-handed. So, you know, I implore the audience to go and use this against them. The conspiratard part of Flat Earth wants to accuse other Flat Earthers of being agents with zero evidence. Here we are with the biggest steaming pile of crap that you can have to throw at them. Take this big turd and chuck it at them, because that's what they are, turds, and they need to know about it. They think they can slime their way away from it. GeoStreber's gone quiet. Red Rhetoric's probably running away from the dying, burning ship that the globe Earth is. Very sensible. But ultimately speaking, there's still people lying about this exact thing right now. Shawn Hufford is one of those people. And he's nothing to do with the situation, even though he's involved himself in the situation, claiming to be on a hangout that Anthony's paying. The audacity of the types of lies they have told about this situation. So the lies continue from the people who claim to be fighting for truth. And all they've got in response is to accuse us of minor things they claim we have done, or mistakes we have made. That's it. That's what they've got in response. So if you're on our side, if you're a flat earther and you've been trolled by these assholes, go and tell them. We know you're a lying sack of shit, Shawn. We know you're a lying sack of shit that needs help, GeoStreber. We know you've lied about it in the aftermath and then gone very quiet, GeoStreber, Alex Nikol. We know you're a liar. And we're going to let you know, we're not going to let you forget about it. We will keep pointing out that you were coached by Soundly, that Soundly has lost all credibility by saying that it was actually more like him coaching Anthony. That's what it sounds like to him. Why? Because he's a liar. So anybody who ever cites Soundly ever again, like the chat trolls will point out about Ireland non-stop in the chat whenever we get to a devastating point. Whenever these guys think they're asserting something, tell them, we know you're a liar, GeoStreber. Have you got Soundly in your ear right now, GeoStreber, with your points? Is that why you're being so confident, because you're being coached? Oh, are you the guy in the background still, Soundly? You partaking in any other hangouts? Who else are you coaching at the moment? Oh, is it Anthony you're coaching, Soundly? You big fat liar. Oh yeah, this is proof of curve, is it, Soundly? We know you're a liar. You said it was more like you coaching Anthony, ha ha ha. No, just you're a liar. And we know you're a liar, Soundly. We've got a recording of you coaching GeoStreber that you've lied through your back teeth about. Said you've got copies of a hangout that Anthony was playing. Said that it's hidden in the white noise that you've amplified the hell out of. No, we know the score, Soundly. You're just a liar. You coached GeoStreber and then tried to cover it up and are still doing it to this day. And I hope, I implore the audience to never let them ever live it down. Ever. Point it out to them every stream they have. You're just the Geo Whisperer, Soundly. We already know you're a liar. Everything you're presenting here can automatically be ignored because you've been discredited. You don't have any credibility anymore. We know you're a liar. So don't present us this as though it's some sort of truth when we know you're a liar. You're a proven liar. you've claimed that Anthony is the one being coached, when it's clearly you coaching GeoStreamer. Ha 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 soundly. No, that laughter is the sound of you being caught in a massive lie. Don't let these people live it down.
Audio gal.
Yeah, Fraudio guy deserves to never live this down. You know, he's claimed he's gone to solicitors.
It's that behaviour, Nathan, I've no problem, really, with, like, GeoStreamer getting a bit of assistance. Because, as Anthony says, you get to the truth, all right, it's not necessarily the best form if you're pretending to have a debate. But at the end of the day, that's fine. And it's that old phrase, isn't it? Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. And it's the way that these gentlemen have conducted, and I use the word loosely, but it's the way they've conducted themselves afterwards that, as you say, removes them of all credibility moving forward. Because if on such a minor point they're prepared to lie, cheat and deceive to such an extent, it does remove any credibility that they could hold trying to present stuff in the future that is debatable.
Yeah, because they have to back down. They have to admit their mistakes. They have to admit that they've done this and hid it. But like the way I did with Folcourt, I made a mistake. I held my hands up, and I deserve the bullets that get fired my way because I did make a mistake. But in the same breath, they are also expected to do the same, and they're not doing it. They're doubling down, and they're trying to create muddy waters when everybody can see it's clear. These guys were cheating. End of. But they won't admit it. Well, that's not fair because we're expected to admit it. So should they.
I'm not asked about the fairness. Like I say, to me, you make a judgment of, well, that's how those people conduct themselves. And for all the abuse we get for being retards, I don't know many flat earthers that don't conduct their investigations and assumptions in a much more honest manner. And certainly, I don't know many flat earthers that lie, cheat, and deceive to maintain a paradigm. Do you know what I mean? To keep this. It's about how you conduct yourself as a human being. To me,
audio gals will be audio gals, as they say.
Yeah. Anyway. Now would be a good time to wrap it up, I guess, Nath.
Yeah, I don't see any reason. Anything else anybody wants to add before I do round out?
And with that,
we still don't know how current science tells us the distance to the moon. There doesn't seem to be any evidence of any measuring going on. Seems to be a lot of calculations in lieu of measurements. And I still want to know the answer. How do they know the distance to the sun?
Wisdom teeth, Anthony. Wisdom teeth.
Yeah. Shout out to Tommy.
And with that, I will say a first and foremost massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated this show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!